My wife died 2 years ago. Last night, her diary appeared on my doorstep, with entries written yesterday, and the woman helping me cope, she has my dead wife's face. Stop reading, Ryan. One of them is lying. Ryan Mitchell lost the love of his life 2 years ago. Nora, his wife, a car accident on a rain-slicked road just outside Seattle. No witnesses, no explanation, just gone. He did what you're supposed to do. He grieved. He went to therapy. He boxed up her clothes but kept her books. He learned to sleep on both sides of the bed. He thought he was healing. Then last winter, something impossible happened. Her diary reappeared. Not the one he'd read before. Not the one filled with her thoughts from when she was alive. This one was new. Pages written in her hand, dated weeks, months, years after her death. And the entries? They weren't memories. They were instructions, warnings. So tonight we're going to ask 3 questions. Questions that will unravel everything Ryan thought he knew. Question 1. Who's writing the diary? Question 2. Is Ryan losing his mind, or is someone watching him? Question 3. Why does his new grief counselor, Elise, look exactly like his dead wife? This story begins with love. It begins with loss. But it ends with something far darker. Something that was never buried at all. Ryan, don't trust her. Ryan and Nora Mitchell. If you scrolled through their Instagram, you'd see it. The kind of love people write novels about. Sunrise hikes in the Cascades. Nora with coffee in both hands, one for him, one for her. Ryan's arm around her shoulders at Pike Place Market. Her head tilted into his chest like she belonged there. The comments were always the same. Relationship goals. You two are perfect. Never change, but pictures lie. Or maybe they just don't tell the whole story. By their 10th year of marriage, something had shifted. Nora had started keeping a diary, a private one. She'd write in it late at night, curled up in the reading chair by the window, the one Ryan bought her for their anniversary. He'd ask what she was writing. She'd smile. Just thoughts, she'd say. But she never showed him. And Ryan? He was drowning in work, blueprints, deadlines, client meetings that stretched past dinner. He told himself he was building their future, a bigger house, a better life. But really, he was just absent. They stopped talking about the things that mattered. They'd sit across from each other at dinner, forks scraping plates, wine glasses untouched, and the silence between them felt like a third person at the table. She'd leave him notes on the counter. Little things. Don't forget to eat. I love you, even when it's hard. He never wrote back. Then, on a Tuesday in June, Nora didn't come home. A delivery truck, a wet road, a turn she didn't see coming. The police said it was instant, that she didn't suffer. Ryan didn't remember much about the funeral, just the rain, the flowers, the way everyone kept saying, she's in a better place now. He wanted to scream. For a year, he barely left the house. He'd wake up and forget she was gone. He'd brew 2 cups of coffee, set the table for 2. Then remember, his sister begged him to see someone, a therapist, a grief counselor, anyone. He refused. He didn't want to talk about Nora. He wanted her back. Then, 13 months after her death, a package arrived. No return address, just his name, handwritten on the front. Inside, wrapped in brown paper tied with string, was Nora's diary. At first, he thought it was the one he'd seen her write in, the one from before. But when he opened it, the dates were wrong. July 16th. She died in June. August 3rd. September 22nd. Entry after entry, months after the accident. Her handwriting, her voice. And on the first page in careful script, Ryan, I know you think I'm gone, but I need you to keep reading. There are things I couldn't say when I was alive. Things you need to know. Pause. A heartbeat sound, slow and heavy. He told himself it was a prank, some cruel joke, but deep down he knew. No one else wrote like Nora. No one else knew the things she wrote about. 2 weeks later, Ryan forced himself to leave the house. He went to a coffee shop in Capitol Hill, the one Nora used to drag him to on Sunday mornings. He ordered her drink, a lavender latte. He didn't know why. And then he saw her, sitting by the window. Dark hair pulled back, same profile, same slender hands wrapped around a mug. His chest tightened. It wasn't possible, but she turned, looked right at him, and smiled. Ryan stood, walked toward her, his mouth dry, hands shaking. "Nora?" She blinked, tilted her head. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "Do I know you?" Her voice, God, even her voice. He couldn't breathe. "You look just like—" "I get that a lot," she said, standing. She placed a hand on his arm, gentle, warm. "Are you okay?" He nodded, lied. She handed him a card. Elise Adams, grief counselor. "If you ever need to talk," she said. And then she walked out. Ryan stood there, frozen. He looked down at the card in his hand, then back at the window. She was gone. Like she was never there at all. "Ryan, you're not crazy." Ryan decided to read one entry per night. He didn't know why. Maybe it was discipline. Maybe it was fear. Maybe he just wasn't ready to know how it ended. But every night at exactly 11 o'clock, he'd sit in the living room with the diary open on his lap and a glass of whiskey he never finished. And every night the entries got stranger. The first few were innocent enough. Nora writing about memories, their first date, the trip to Vancouver, the way he used to hum while he cooked. But then, around entry 7, something shifted. The tone changed. She wasn't writing about the past anymore. She was writing about now. October 9th. "Ryan will sit by the window again tonight. He'll pour 2 glasses of wine, even though he knows I'm not there. He'll drink only 1. He always does." Ryan read that line 3 times. Then he looked up, at the window, at the table in front of him. 2 glasses of wine. He'd poured them without thinking. His hands started shaking. It was a coincidence. It had to be. But the next entry, October 10th. He's starting to realize someone's watching. He'll check the locks tonight, all of them, twice. And he did. Every door, every window, the basement, the garage, twice. Ryan stopped sleeping. He'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was there. If someone was in the house with him. He started talking to her, out loud. "Nora, if this is you, just show me. Please. I need to know I'm not losing my mind." Nothing. Just silence. On the 10th night, Ryan went to the police. He brought the diary, showed them the entries, explained the dates, the handwriting, the predictions. The officer, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes, listened patiently. Then she closed the diary. "Mr. Mitchell," she said gently, "grief can do strange things to the mind. It's not uncommon for people in your situation to experience patterns, coincidences that feel like messages." "This isn't grief," Ryan said. "Someone is watching me." She nodded, sympathetic, unconvinced. "We'll keep this on file, but unless there's evidence of a break-in or a direct threat, there's not much we can do." Ryan left the station feeling more alone than ever. That night, he decided he wouldn't read anymore. He'd burn the diary, forget it existed, move on. But when he got home, there was something on his doorstep, a folded piece of paper. No envelope, no name. Just 2 words, written in black ink. "Stop reading." Ryan's heart hammered in his chest. He looked left, right, down the empty street. No one. He grabbed the note, rushed inside, locked the door behind him. His mind raced. Who left this? How did they know? Was it the same person writing the diary, or was someone else involved? He sat down at the table. The diary was still there, open to the page he'd left off on. He told himself not to look. but he couldn't help it. His eyes drifted to the next entry. October 17th. Tonight. Someone will leave him a warning, a note under the door. He'll panic, he'll want to stop, but he won't, because deep down, he needs to know the truth more than he needs to feel safe. Ryan's blood went cold. And when he reads this entry, he'll realize something terrifying. I'm not the one watching him. I'm the one trying to warn him. Ryan slammed the diary shut. His breath came fast, shallow. He stood, paced, ran his hands through his hair. Someone was playing with him, manipulating him. But who? And why? He grabbed his phone, pulled up the card Elise had given him at the coffee shop. Elise Adams, grief counselor. His thumb hovered over the call button. Maybe she could help. Maybe she'd understand. Or maybe she was part of this. Ryan, don't trust her. If this part just gave you chills, drop a candle emoji in the comments. Because here's the real question. Would you keep reading that diary, or would you burn it? Let me know. Because what Ryan does next changes everything. Ryan became obsessed with proof. If someone was watching him, manipulating him, writing in that diary while he slept, he'd catch them. He mounted cameras in every room, hallways, the bedroom, even the kitchen. He started keeping voice logs, timestamps. He'd film himself reading each entry, then lock the diary in a safe before bed. October 21st, 11:47 p.m. Diary secured, all doors locked, camera recording. Every night, the same ritual. Every morning, the same result. The footage showed nothing, no intruders, no shadows, no movement except his own. But when he opened the safe, new pages, always new pages, entry after entry, appearing like they'd always been there. His handwriting analysis came back from a private lab, inconclusive. The ink was standard, the paper, ordinary. But the writing, a 93% match to Nora's hand. Ryan stopped leaving the house. He ordered groceries online, ignored calls from his sister, let his work emails pile up unanswered. He was unraveling. And then the media found out. Someone leaked the story. Maybe a cop who thought it was harmless. Maybe a lab technician looking for attention. Within 48 hours, it was everywhere. Seattle widower claims dead wife is writing to him from beyond the grave. Diary of the dead? Grief or something more sinister? The cable news shows picked it up. True crime podcasts. Reddit threads dissecting every detail. Ryan's face was plastered across the internet. Some people believed him. Most didn't. The comments were brutal. He's clearly having a breakdown. Attention seeker. This is what untreated grief looks like. Ryan stopped reading them, but the damage was done. He was no longer just a grieving widower. He was a spectacle. Then Elise called. She'd seen the news. She was worried about him. I know this must be overwhelming, she said, her voice calm, steady. But I want to help. If you'll let me. Ryan hesitated. He didn't trust anyone anymore. But something in her voice, the way she didn't sound like she pitied him, didn't sound like she thought he was crazy, made him say yes. They met at his house 2 days later. Elise sat across from him in the living room, hands folded in her lap, eyes patient and kind. She looked even more like Nora up close. The same dark eyes. The same way of listening, really listening, like every word mattered. It was unnerving, but also comforting. Tell me about the diary, Elise said softly. So Ryan did. He told her everything, the entries, the predictions, the note under the door. She didn't interrupt, didn't judge. When he finished, she nodded slowly. Have you considered, she said carefully, that someone close to Nora might be doing this? Someone who knew her handwriting, her habits? Ryan frowned. Like who? A friend, a family member, someone with access to your home. No one has access. Did Nora ever give anyone a key? Ryan opened his mouth to say no, then stopped. Nora's best friend, Michelle, had a key for emergencies, but Michelle lived in Portland now. They hadn't spoken since the funeral. Where did Nora keep her journals? Elise asked. Before she died. In her nightstand. Why? And after the accident? Did you move them? Ryan thought back. I boxed them up, put them in the attic. Elise leaned forward slightly. Did anyone help you? My sister. But she wouldn't. I'm not accusing anyone, Elise said gently. I'm just trying to understand the timeline. Who had access? Who might know things only Nora would know? Ryan nodded. It made sense. Sort of. Over the next 2 weeks, Elise came by 3 times. They'd talk. She'd ask questions. Ryan would answer. She helped him sleep again. Taught him breathing exercises. Reminded him to eat. Slowly, he started to feel normal. Like maybe he wasn't losing his mind. Like maybe there was a rational explanation after all. But then, one afternoon, Elise reached for her coffee. Her sleeve pulled back, and Ryan saw it. A scar, thin, white, about 2 inches long, running along the inside of her left wrist. Ryan's breath caught. Nora had the same scar. She got it in college, a kitchen accident. She used to joke about it. My battle wound, she'd say. Ryan stared. Elise noticed. Something wrong? She asked, pulling her sleeve down quickly. That scar, Ryan said slowly. How did you get it? Elise's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind her eyes. An accident, she said lightly. Years ago. Why? My wife had the same scar in the exact same place. Silence. Elise smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Coincidence, she said. It happens. Ryan didn't respond. He just watched her, and for the first time since they met, he felt something twist in his gut. A warning. Later that night, after Elise left, Ryan pulled up her business card. He Googled her name. Elise Adams, grief counselor. Her website looked professional. Testimonials, credentials, a photo of her smiling warmly. But when he dug deeper, there was nothing. No social media, no public records before 3 years ago, no history. It was like she didn't exist before Nora died. Ryan's hands trembled as he opened the diary. He flipped to the most recent entry, November 2nd. He's starting to see it now, the cracks, the inconsistencies. He'll want to confront her, but he's afraid. Afraid that if he's right, everything he thought he knew will fall apart. Ryan read the next line, and his blood turned to ice. Ryan, listen to me. Elise isn't who she says she is. She's not here to help you. She's here to finish what I started. Ryan waited until their next session. 3 days later, Elise arrived at his door with her usual calm smile and a thermos of tea. But this time, Ryan didn't offer her a seat. He stood in the doorway, blocking her path. Who are you? He asked. Elise's smile faltered. Ryan, what are you talking about? The scar, your background, the way you showed up right after the story went public. His voice was shaking now. Who are you, really? For a long moment, Elise just looked at him. Then she stepped inside, closed the door behind her, and something in her face changed. The gentleness fell away. What remained was colder, sharper. She laughed softly, not cruel, just tired. I'm not Nora, Ryan, she said quietly. But I know her better than you ever did. Ryan's heart pounded. What does that mean? Elise walked past him into the living room. She set her bag down, turned to face him. Do you know what it's like to be erased? She asked. To exist but not be allowed to exist? To be a secret your own family keeps locked away? Ryan didn't answer. Elise reached into her bag and pulled out a photograph. She handed it to him. It was old, faded, Two little girls, maybe 7 or 8, standing in front of a Christmas tree. Identical. Same dark hair, same eyes, same face. Ryan's hands went numb. Her name was Nora, Elise said softly. And mine was Elise. We were twins. Ryan looked up at her, his mind reeling. That's impossible. Nora never mentioned— She wouldn't have, Elise interrupted. Our mother made sure of that. After the incident, after I was blamed for something I didn't do, I was sent away. Foster care. A new name. A new life. Nora got to stay. She got the family, the love, the normal childhood. She smiled bitterly. I got nothing. Ryan stared at the photograph. 2 girls. Identical. But in every other photo he'd ever seen of Nora's childhood, there was only one. Why are you here? Ryan whispered. Elise's eyes hardened. Because she reached out to me. 2 years before she died. She found me. We reconnected. And she told me everything, Ryan. Everything about you, about your marriage, about what was really happening behind those perfect Instagram photos. Ryan shook his head. I don't understand. She didn't die in that crash, Ryan. The room went silent. Elise stepped closer. She was murdered. Ryan's breath stopped. No. It was an accident. The police said what they were told, Elise said coldly. But I know the truth, and so do you. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, held it up, an audio file. She pressed play. Ryan's voice filled the room, angry, loud, desperate. You can't just leave, Nora. After everything I've done for you, for us? Nora's voice, quieter, strained. I'm not happy, Ryan. I haven't been happy in years. So what? You're just going to throw it all away? Just walk out? I need space. I need time to think. You're not going anywhere. A door slammed. The recording ended. Ryan stared at the phone, his face white. That was hours before the accident, Elise said quietly. Hours before her car went off the road on a route she never took. Hours before the brakes mysteriously failed on a vehicle that had just been serviced. I didn't— Ryan's voice cracked. I didn't do anything. We had a fight, yes, but I would never— You helped cover it up. Cover what up? There was nothing to cover. Elise's expression didn't change. You knew she wanted to leave. You knew she'd packed a bag. And when she died, you made sure no one ever found it. You cleaned out her car before the police could search it properly. You played the grieving husband so well, Ryan, that no one thought to question you. That's insane, Ryan said, backing away. I loved her. You loved the idea of her, Elise snapped. You loved the version of her that made you look good. But the real Nora? The one who was suffocating? The one who wrote in her diary about feeling trapped? She picked up the diary from the table. You never even read these when she was alive, did you? Ryan said nothing. Elise opened it to a page near the beginning. One Ryan had skipped. She read aloud. I don't know how to tell him I want to leave. I don't know how to say the words without breaking him. But I can't keep pretending. I can't keep being the woman he thinks I am. She looked up at Ryan. She was going to leave you, Ryan. And somehow, before she could, she ended up dead. Ryan's legs gave out. He sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I didn't kill her, he whispered. I swear to God, I didn't. Elise watched him for a long moment. Then she knelt in front of him. Maybe you didn't, she said softly. But you didn't save her either. She stood, walked to the door, paused. You think guilt writes in ink, Ryan? She glanced back at him. It writes in blood. And then she was gone. Ryan sat alone in the silence, the diary still open on the table. He reached for it with shaking hands, turned to the next entry. November 8th. Now he knows the truth, or at least part of it. But the real question isn't what happened to me, Ryan. It's what you're going to do now that you know. Because Elise isn't here for closure. She's here for justice, and she won't stop until she gets it. 3 days after Elise walked out, the police came back. Not to dismiss Ryan this time. To investigate. Elise had given them everything. The recording, Nora's hidden journals, documentation of the car's service history. And when the forensics team finally took apart what was left of the vehicle, still sitting in an impound lot gathering dust, they found it. Evidence of tampering. The brake lines had been cut, deliberately, precisely. This wasn't an accident. But the detective's next words weren't what Ryan expected. "Mr. Mitchell, we need to ask you some questions, but not as a suspect." Ryan looked up, hollow-eyed. "Then who?" The detective hesitated. "We believe you were set up to look guilty, and we think we know by whom." Over the next week, the truth came out in pieces. Nora's father, Edward Brennan, had owned a mid-sized automotive parts manufacturing company. Successful, respected, but 2 years before Nora's death, there'd been a recall. Faulty brake components, his company's fault. 3 accidents, 1 fatality. Edward had settled quietly, paid out, buried the story, but Nora had found the paperwork. She confronted him, told him she was going to report it, that people deserved to know. He begged her not to. She refused, and 2 weeks later, she was dead. Elise had discovered this a year ago, digging through her mother's belongings after she passed. Letters, financial records, a confession Edward had written but never sent. He died of a heart attack 6 months after Nora's funeral. Guilt, the doctor said. But Elise didn't believe in poetic justice. She believed in exposure, in accountability. And when she saw Ryan on the news playing the grieving widower, she assumed he'd been complicit. That he'd known. That he'd helped cover it up to protect the family name. So she decided to make him confess. The diary was hers. Every entry, written in Nora's hand, a skill she'd practiced for months, studying old journals, perfecting every loop and slant. She'd left the package, slipped the notes under his door, watched him unravel. She thought if she pushed hard enough, he'd break. He'd admit what he'd done. But Ryan had done nothing, and now Elise had to face that. Ryan didn't hear from her for 2 weeks. Then, one evening, she called. Her voice was quiet, strained. "Meet me," she said, "at the bridge, the one where she died. Please." Ryan almost said no, but something in her tone stopped him. He drove out just before sunset. The bridge was empty. Mist hung low over the water. Elise was standing at the railing, her back to him. She didn't turn when he approached. "I was wrong," she said finally. "About you." Ryan stopped a few feet away. "I know. I thought you were the monster. I thought if I could just make you admit it, I could finally let her go." She turned to face him. Her eyes were red. "But you didn't know. You were just grieving. Like me." Ryan didn't respond. Elise reached into her coat and pulled out the diary. The real one, worn, faded, pages bent from years of handling. "This was hers," Elise said softly. "The actual diary, the one she kept before she died." She opened it to the last entry, held it out to Ryan. He took it with trembling hands. The handwriting was unmistakable. Nora's, real this time. June 10th. "I'm scared. I told my father I was going to the press. He looked at me like I was a stranger, like I'd betrayed him. Maybe I have, but I can't stay silent. Not about this. I've written Elise's number in the back of this journal. If something happens to me, Ryan needs to find her. He needs to know I had a sister, that I wasn't alone. And if you're reading this, Elise, if you found him, if you're standing with him now, please forgive him. He didn't know. He was a good man who loved me badly, but he wasn't part of this. You only wanted justice. I only wanted truth. Maybe together, you can both finally find peace." Ryan's vision blurred. He read the last line again and again. Elise's voice was barely a whisper. She knew. Somehow she knew. Ryan closed the diary. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Elise stepped forward. She took the diary gently from his hands, walked to the railing, and without hesitation, she let it go. The diary tumbled through the air, pages fluttering, and disappeared into the dark water below. Ryan watched it sink. Why? He asked. Elise wiped her eyes. Because the truth is out now. The investigation is open. My father's company is being held accountable, and Nora... She looked at Ryan. Nora can finally rest. Ryan nodded slowly. They stood there in silence as the sun set over the river. Two people bound by the same ghost, the same loss, the same love. And as the last light faded, Ryan realized something. The diary was gone. But Nora wasn't. She was in every choice he'd make going forward, every truth he'd choose to face, every person he'd choose to become. Elise turned to leave, but before she did, she looked back. She loved you, Ryan, in her own way. I hope you know that. Ryan's throat tightened. I do now. Elise nodded. And then she walked away. Ryan stayed at the bridge a little longer. The water rushed beneath him. The stars began to appear. And for the first time in 2 years, he felt something other than grief. He felt release. Love doesn't always end with death. Sometimes it waits. It waits for truth, for understanding, for the courage to let go. And sometimes, if you're lucky, it waits for forgiveness. In the end, it wasn't the diary that was haunted. It was the people left behind. Ryan, Elise, even Nora herself. All of them trapped by secrets, by silence, by the things we don't say when we still have time. But here's what I want you to think about. What if it was you? What if someone you lost, someone you loved, someone you failed, someone who knew you better than anyone, left you a message after they were gone? Not a voicemail, not a letter you could explain away, but something impossible, something that shouldn't exist. Would you read it? Would you follow where it led, even if it meant facing truths you'd spent years avoiding? Or would you burn it? Would you bury it in the same grave you've been trying to climb out of? Because here's the thing about grief. It doesn't just live in the past. It lives in the questions we're too afraid to ask, the conversations we never finished, the apologies we never gave. And sometimes the dead speak louder than the living ever could. So I'm asking you now, what would you have done? Drop a comment below. Tell me, would you have kept reading that diary? Or would you have thrown it in the river the moment you found it? Would you have trusted Elise? Or run the second you saw that scar? And here's the harder question. If you were Ryan, and you found out the truth about Nora's father, about the cover-up, about everything, would you have gone to the police? Or would you have protected the family name just like he almost did? There's no right answer. Only the one you'd have to live with. And if this story left you with chills, if you're sitting there right now wondering what's real and what's not, then you need to hear what comes next. Because this isn't the only story like this. Next week, I'm bringing you something even darker. A widow who dreamed her husband's murder 3 nights in a row. The same dream, the same details. And when she woke up on the 4th morning, he was dead. Exactly the way she'd seen it. The police called it a coincidence. She called it a warning. But the real question is, was she dreaming the future? Or was she remembering what she'd already done? You're not going to want to miss that one. So hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. Because every week, I'm bringing you stories of love, loss, and the lies we tell to survive them. Stories that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about the people closest to you. And if you made it this far, if you're still here with me, thank you. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for caring about people who never existed outside of this story. That's the power of truth. Even when it's wrapped in fiction, it still finds a way to haunt you. So until next time, keep your secrets close, but keep your loved ones closer. Because you never know when you'll run out of time to say the things that matter. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. And whatever you do, don't ignore the warnings. What would you have done?